Hello and welcome to Lave Radio episode 200, part B at Lavecon! There was some feedback there, I don't know where it came from. Right, we good? It was obviously my stomach, I don't know what was happening. I'm Alan Stroud, I'm your station commander, and welcome to Lavecon. We've been here a little while, all of us in this room, but for those of you who are not physically in this room, welcome to Lavecon if you're just joining us on Twitch, or you're joining us anywhere else, or you're joining us just on the website, then welcome. And of course, if you're listening to the recording, welcome. Yeah.
Why weren't you here?
Yeah, I guess that's a way of, you know, kind of saying it, and
maybe they live in America.
Or you could kind of
That's
say
no
it.
excuse.
Welcome nostalgically, some kind of strange way. Welcome to the past.
Wibbly wobbly.
Welcome to the past. 88 miles per hour.
I think that's enough welcoming, to be honest. I think that's as many welcomes as.
But you're not welcome.
Sorry.
You feel welcome then. Good. Okay. So, what we plan to do for the next little bit of time is to give you some. Oh, he's lovely. Oh, isn't he lovely? Hello. So what we plan to do for the next bit of time is to give you a little bit of a lowdown of what's been going on the weekend, reflect on a few things that have been going on the weekend, and talk a little bit about some of the history of Lavecon, the history of Lave Radio, and some of different people's memories about those things. We've had some lovely reveals by Frontier, which we're also going to discuss. We'll give you some of our views, because, of course, we've held back. We've let other people talk and ask questions and things. We've had a bit of time to reflect. We'll perhaps talk a bit about that. And we'll throw that open to our lovely audience as well, so that they'll have an opportunity to talk about different things as we go through. That sound good?
All right.
And we might even talk about our lovely guests up here as well. From Spider-Man Games. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome. Do you feel welcome?
Very
Yeah, I do.
Warm and
fuzzy.
Yeah, you could be
Slightly-
too welcoming, Ben.
like
welcome is he getting anyway?
Okay, good. So, yes, with no further ado, we're going to move on and start talking about stuff. And first of all, the first thing I probably have to do is, because I have to report that when we did part A and we went to an advert break, I was muzzled. Somebody told me I couldn't tell a story.
You've got your chance now.
I do, but I always worry a little bit about telling this story to Lavecon, because unfortunately an awful lot of people at Lavecon have heard this story. However, I will tell this story and let people know, because it also serves to segue us into a reminder that we kind of have to really sort of say about in relation to members of the team who aren't here. Now, to go through that roll call, John Stabler, I believe, is still down in the LAN. He's working really hard. He's here at the convention. Chris Jarvis is outside playing a board game that he's been desperate to play all weekend, and I think everyone will agree he's certainly put his shift in this weekend with doing all the work that he's done, and we will hopefully have a little bit of his Lave Revolution audio for people to have a teaser trailer later. But then, unfortunately, other members of the team, Kurgle meant to be here, got halfway here, and
As far as I'm aware, his car blew up.
I was going to say we could do that a bit more dramatically. Kaboom. Yes, his car blew up, which is absolutely awful for the poor guy. He's had to go home. It does appear to be the Lavecon curse of cars, because I remember that Karash 2 or 3 years ago had a similar situation, but he got all the way here and then obviously had to, find a way to get back. So unfortunately, sorry, Andy, and we miss you. We miss you. Andy, we miss you. We miss you, Andy.
This is Stunt Andy here.
Yeah, no, that's Cobra Commander.
Stunt Andy.
Yeah, that could have been Andy. We don't know. But yes, so Andy was hopefully going to be here, and it's been a terrible shame that he's not been able to get to his first Lavecon. So we are hoping that it's not put him off, and hopefully people can wish him well and get well car, Andy, if possible. If it's fixable, then let's hope it gets fixed. And the other person who's absent, who we should mention, is Foz. Foz has a considerable amount of family issues that he's dealing with at the moment, and that's very hard on him. Speaking as a person who had to deal with my father passing away before, it's tough. It is just tough, and it makes you have to think about all the priorities in your life. So I'm really hoping that Foz can sort stuff out, and that his family will be well and go to a better place in terms of feeling better about the circumstances and situation soon. So, yeah, Foz, we miss you. You know, really, really miss you. And Lavecon is not quite the same without Commander Forrester, our second technician. So, moving on. Now, on Foz. Apparently, Foz has told a story that there isn't a first Lave Radio episode. He denies that the first episode existed. Did I hear that right?
I believe so.
So, I've told this story before, right? Some of you remember this story about the first ever episode of Lave Radio with Chris Gavin? Okay, right. Some of you may not. So, we are now at our 200th episode. The first episode that we did, essentially what was going on is it was in the aftermath of the Kickstarter, and we had Frontier just putting, people were moving over to the forums as a place of discussion, and it was quite inundated. A few people had been on the forums a long time, but, we had all these new faces and stuff. And Chris Gavin went on the forums and said it'd be a really good idea to have an Elite Dangerous podcast. And a few people thought that might be good, and he kind of PM'd a few people, and we got a bit of a discussion, and I, contacted him and said, yeah, I'm kind of talking to Frontier at the moment about doing some work with them. Yeah, I'd be interested in being on a podcast. Maybe you might want me on just to talk about a few things, just as a guest or something. And he said, oh, okay, that might be interesting. And then he PM'd and said, okay, well, we're going to pull a few of the interested parties together. Okay, so 4 of us decided to have a Skype call. Now, I'd never used Skype prior to that, so I was completely new to anything that we were doing. And find myself in this conversation with Chris Gavin, with John Stabler, and with Foz. And we talked. And we said we were going to record an episode, apparently. So we talked and talked. About an hour and a half later, I guess we should record something. Okay. Now, we were using Mumble at the time. So, yeah, maybe it wasn't Skype. Must have been Mumble for push to... Yeah, it must have been Mumble for the whole thing. And so we're using Mumble and we're using Push to Talk. And so that was kind of not working very well, but we weren't to know that until the recording came through. But anyway, so Chris Gavin had said, okay, I'll host. And he'd said that he would do the recording and he would do the edit. Okay, fine. We'll come on and we'll... So, okay, let's go record. Okay, we're recording. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I can't do it. Right. Okay. Right. Well, maybe Foz, you start, and we'll then kind of chat and talk, and then we can talk about this, and we'll talk about. And so we chatted and talked, and Chris Gavin gave us a little bit as a contributor, and it eased off, and it got a little bit easier to talk, and it got a pretty good, and we got through about an hour or so, and it seemed all right. Okay, wow, and at the end, Chris Gavin said, "Yeah, sorry guys, I don't know what I'm just not sure if I can do this. But I think we need a podcast. I think it's good. So I'll do the edit, and then we'll come back. Okay." 2 weeks passed. How's things going with that? Yeah, good. Okay. John Stabler says, well, I've edited a load of podcasts before, so if you'd like a hand, I'm happy to have access to the files. And yeah, let's put them in a shared Dropbox folder. Okay, that's a good idea. Right, okay, fine. 2 more weeks pass. How's that edit coming, Chris? Oh, yeah, it's going well. It's good. John's like, actually, I've got the files. I'm not sure. I think we may need to rewrite. No, it's good. It's going to be, I'm nearly there. I'm nearly ready. Okay. 2 more weeks pass. So, Chris, about that. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. It's pretty much. I'm not so sure, says John. I'm pretty sure we don't have a recording here. It's not good enough because we've used push to talk, and you've got like half of the section and half of the. Yeah, no. But I've sorted. Okay. And then we heard nothing. So the 3 of us got together and said, yeah, well, actually, we still think there should be a podcast, but I'm not sure this guy's going to be up to scratch. Should we get a 4th person? Yeah, we need a 4th person. I said, I know someone. So I phoned Chris Jarvis. Can you be our substitute Chris? Yeah, fine. Have you played Frontier and Elite? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I played Frontier. I really liked it. Okay, fine. I just think this might be quite good. Great. So we recorded again, and the rest is history. We then had a program, and it worked. Now, Chris Gavin, we never saw for a while, but we did then see him pipe up on the forums. He made no mention of the fact that there was a podcast or anything else, and then he disappeared, and that was it.
What was the timing for this? Because according to our information, the first episode of Lave Radio was 22nd of February 2013.
I thought it was.
I guess this must have been recorded around Christmas time.
Yeah, I thought it was March, but you're right. It was much earlier. This was literally in the aftermath of the Kickstarter. It must have been in the 2 weeks after the Kickstarter on the Frontier forums.
Your
that we
original
had the
recording
discussion.
must have happened during the Kickstarter. I
Yeah,
guess.
well, or after, literally just after, because the Kickstarter finished around the 3rd of January, so you've still got a little bit of time there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure. Well, that date might be right, but that seems very early. But yeah, it took a long time to get anything out of. Well, we never got anything out of Chris Gavin, but it did. It took it's just kind of weird that you'd set yourself up to present something and then just completely corpse right in that moment, and then.
They are scary people. I mean, even hiding behind a microphone.
They're not that bad.
But we didn't know we were talking to anybody at that point in time. Let's bear in mind there was a forum, and we thought, no, it's going to be interested, really, are they? So we were just kind of 4 guys talking stuff. And I mean, some of those recordings prior to us going live, some of those recordings, they'd last up to 6 hours, and that was actually one of the things that and it was awful to edit, but it was one of the things that actually made us realize this is something we should do. Because, yes, I know Chris Jarvis. I've known Chris Jarvis for more than 20 years. But Foz and John, I'd not known. And suddenly we realized we all had a chance to chat together, and we really enjoyed chatting together. And sometimes that got in the way of getting a radio show. So, we've done 6 hours of recording. Is there a show in this? I don't know. Okay, well, we'll try and put something together. But it did. It bound us. And then subsequently, for us to then decide we all needed to meet up at some hotel in the middle of Wiltshire. The 4 of us were going down. I was going to hand over a hard drive. And Foz said, I've put it on the forums to see if anybody wants to come. Yeah, just be 4 of us. I'm sure no one really cares. 60-odd people? Oh, we've got a kind of mini convention. Right. What kind of stuff can I do? Oh, well, Chris and I could do a live performance of music. Yeah, that was a crap idea.
It was good.
God. Oh. One thing in my life, I don't know why I didn't learn that lesson, but the one thing in my life that I've always struggled with, I can be confident as anything when I'm talking. I can, do other bits and pieces. Performing music live, then I have my Chris Gavin moment. If I set myself up to perform music live, yeah, it's all recorded. All you got to do is play this part. I can't do any of it.
Is there a recording of that?
I have a photo of it.
Oh, I hope not.
And,
Oh, God.
Oh, watch this video
please
here.
stand by.
Oh dear, that was just cringeworthy. I missed a note and then just and Jarvis was great. He was on the guitar. He was away, but it was just crap. But yeah,
No,
so
Ben,
the
that's
rest.
the after hours folder. You can't use that one.
Oh, you're gonna look now. Oh, I hate you so much. But the rest, as they say, is kind of history, and I'm going to sweep it under the carpet and try and move this conversation on before anybody finds any pictures of anything related to Lavecon 2013. We are here now at Lavecon 2018, 6 years. 6 years.
I'll give it to Grant.
Oh God, yeah, you have. You've found it. They found a copy. They found a copy. Oh dear.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty blurry, you know.
No, this is live.
No, you can tell it's you. Fine.
It's, to be fair, I had cool laser projectors back then. Most of those are now broken, but you know, they did last until probably last year, and we did deck that room out in laser projectors. So that evening, the whole glow in the place was really cool in terms of what's there. So that kind of gives the story I was allowed to give. Sean, sorry it was long. You were right. If we had had that amount of time added on to the last Part A episode, we would have been there all night, right? Yeah, we would have been there all night. I think in terms of, you're making me cringe. I'm just sitting here and look, he's posting them to Discord. What's he doing?
I'm giving them to Grant in the back room.
Oh.
So if Grant in the back room can maybe make them live.
Awful.
Not yet.
I can't see. I'll just look this way. No. Yeah.
You want to borrow this?
No, I'm all right.
You sure?
I'm really sure. Judging by where that glass went when you lifted that up, I think it should stay there. So okay, yes. So essentially, that was our first Lavecon. We then had a Lavecon in Kettering, and then we moved to the Sedgebrook Hall. This would be our fourth one here. I love this hotel. I hope you do too. I think they host us tremendously every year, and they've done incredibly. You're pointing. They've done incredibly well. It was certainly a relief this year to...
A bit bigger, Grant.
Great. Okay, no one can see. You're all squinting. You can't see it. You can't see. It's almost as bad as the photo of me in a nylon wig. You won't find that one. So
Challenge accepted.
1998. Good luck. So the whole thing of being here, I think, as I say, the Sedgebrook have been absolutely bent over backwards to help us with everything that we do. They love having us here. We have in the past had members of staff specifically move on in their careers, go on to different jobs, and then say, actually, I'm just coming back to work for one day this year. Why, which day? Because you're coming and having your convention, and we're coming back to just be on the bar for you, or we're coming back to just staff for you. So they do genuinely love having you here. So I think, do understand you are a complete highlight for them. In that regard, in terms of our venue, we've been incredibly fortunate in terms of all the facilities and everything else that we've been able to use. And it kind of, because we're a weird crowd, right? Because, we're a weird crowd. Yeah.
For the mug!
In a good way.
Yeah, absolutely in a good way. Because, and this was one of the things that happened early on with Lavecon. We're not quite a LAN crowd. And we're also not quite a sort of camping crowd, and we're also not quite a traditional convention crowd. We're a bit of a weird crowd. So actually finding a way for this convention to have its identity, it took us a couple of years to get it right. As soon as we found their Sedgebrook, though, we found a home, and it really started to feel like we'd kind of got that. In terms of what's there. Yeah, and absolutely don't change, all right? And I will say this, and I'll probably say this again later. In terms of you, don't change, because you make my year. Stuff happens, life goes on. We all have stuff in our lives. Maybe we don't have enough time to get in a spaceship and fly around a galaxy, but once a year we come back here, we look at each other, and we kind of go, you know what, yeah, good people appreciate good stuff, appreciate all the different shows, all the different things that are going on, love their late night dockers, love their Hutton radio, love the quiz, love the other things that are done. That's just cool, and it's just nice. And every year, I sat down at breakfast this morning and just sat there and said, yeah, actually, every year this kind of renews me, which is great. in terms of stuff. So, okay, let's move on. Thoughts about this weekend, folks? Shall we start? Oh, we should do proper introduction, shouldn't we? I've just monologued for the entire. I've just monologued for the entire time, and
This
that's
is
all
not
about
new.
me. No, all about me. Okay, so I am Station Commander Alan Stroud, and I'm great, and I've talked too much. To my left, at the far end, is
John Lund, producer, Spider-Man Games.
and next is.
Okay, I thought it was going to be a job title.
I thought you were going to just. I'm
testing
doing
you
it
to see
really.
if you know what it
oh,
is.
you.
Where are the show notes? The show notes!
We
don't
have no show
any for this
notes.
episode.
Let's just go with the
Commander
format.
Shan.
Thank you, Commander Shan. Let's go with the format. And to my immediate right is.
Head of Health and Safety, Ben Moss-Woodward,
Thank you.
otherwise known as Commander Adolf Weiss.
Thank you. And to his right is.
Oliver Hume, I'm the lead writer for Spider-Man Games.
And to his immediate right, wearing a snake, is.
Director of Pest Control Commander Dr. Toxic, Ashley Devine.
Thank you very much, and that will be our panel. Yes, I have talked too much. So let's move this over to folks here, and we'll go from the left again, and we'll ask John to start with. How good's your Lavecon been, and what have you enjoyed?
It's been very exciting, quite busy because I'm kind of here to work in a way. So we've been showing off a lot of the ED battle cards, and because I know this lot I know you call them weird, but they're also very honest.
Yeah.
They're, if I were to use the word elite, in a game like Elite Dangerous, the Lavecon crowd are going to be hard to please. They're sort of the critics you want to get on side, as it were. And you know you'll get an honest bit of feedback if you ask for it. So we kind of walked into the games room and metaphorically stripped naked and went, what do you reckon? No, maybe that's not the right metaphor. Anyway, he writes stuff. I make it look shiny. So no, we've played the battle cards game and it's been received really well. But apart from that, my favourite bits have been, everything you mentioned earlier on. The quiz was awesome. Being invited to come onto the Hutton Truckers radio show, that's awesome too. I can't think of any other podcasting show we've been invited on, but no, they were and being invited onto the Lave Radio.
No. That was.
Amazing too.
I was still thinking because I caught you this morning. I was thinking you were going to confess.
Oh yeah, and the
Are
Lego
you bribing
competition.
people again, Alan?
He did you not see him this morning?
I saw you with a fat wad of cash this morning.
No, you didn't. That's a lie. No, I caught John this morning outside the restaurant. Now, I'm sure that it's a nice innovation and lots of people have participated. The Lego competition, build your elite spaceship, and the ones that we've got on the wall, fabulous idea. I don't know who came up with that. Absolutely brilliant idea. Whoever it was, he's amazing. And he has a great surname. And he's a doctor. And there's only one of him in the room that's a real one. So,
Oh, ha ha.
well, you said what a cash, so I've got your back. So the point here was that I caught John outside of the restaurant with the Lego bag, or with the Lego box, with the Lego all over the table, and I have never seen a face in such serious concentration as I saw on John's face.
Lego is a serious business.
I would agree with that.
Thank you. It's not a game, no.
Cobra Commander agrees with that. So John is absolutely seriously committed to his Lego building. Can you name your model, please?
The competition is to build something in the Elite Dangerous galaxy, and I think that the people that attend these conventions are as important and are also legends in the Elite Dangerous galaxy. So I have designed a person who really needs no introduction, but someone who is so stupidly generous at Lavecon to buy pretty much all the raffle tickets that I decided in homage of that man to design Dave Van Jester D a hot rod wheelchair that any elite commander would just be extremely envious of. I mean, I took it to a panel of judges, and they were harsh, and they critiqued it, and said a few things. And so I've done a bit of a redesign, announced it in the competition, and so whoever's judging the competition, if you don't vote for it, then shame on you. Feel bad. Thank you. It is. It is.
It is, and it is red.
And it is
furiously
elite.
red.
Yep.
Yeah, it had to be red. So he was incredibly concentrating. I would say that you missed that off your highlights, man.
Yeah, well, that's not a highlight. That's something really special.
That's an apex.
That's an apex. That's not just a highlight.
Anne, what you been up to, and what have you enjoyed?
This is my first time this side of the table, and the number one memory of this event. The number one memory of this event is how hard everyone works to put this together. Not just the organisation, but you've got the sound team, the audio. Everyone just puts so much effort in. And it's like thinking, wow, it's an amazing convention, but it's amazing partly and mainly because of the people who help. And yeah, what I've actually enjoyed, well, kind of a mixture of terror and fun, really. Because I held my first workshop with the Dev Apprentice, in which Steve Kirby from Frontier and Paige and Dav were Lured Sugar, Karen and Claude, respectively. And the teams were asked to come up with a post-hipster game that had to be all-inclusive of everything and everyone. And the prize was name a planet. So the winning team get to name a planet. So really thankful for Frontier for fronting that prize. It was really good. So that was my fun and terror. And it's just been fantastic, really, this side of the table. And yeah.
There is an awful lot, and I think we will talk later about just singing the praises of individuals who have gone above and beyond. We try. I say this. There is a philosophy of trying to run events whereby you attempt to make sure that the heroes stay in the game rather than behind the scenes. As in, if you're doing it right, then no one person has to basically turn themselves into an exhausted puddle on the floor. Everybody gets to enjoy and also get to do a bit for the event. But there is always a lot of planning and a lot of prep, and certainly, it is eye-opening. I know,
definitely.
and I remember that from many years ago. Ben,
My highlight would probably actually be either John for not going to bed for about 2.5 hours on Friday night, where I eventually managed to get a break at about midnight, and John was good enough to not go to bed and let Jarvis and I play ED Battle cards. So that was great, and I loved it, had a great time. It was a fairly even match, and there were some good rolls, some bad rolls, and that was a fabulous fun time. And I really enjoyed the chat that I had with about 10 of us about the ethics of sci-fi, which turned more into a chat about current day things with self-driving cars and everything. But it was a really good round table, and that was good fun.
breaking the tech.
I'm testing the team.
Okay. Oliver.
The two things that first of all, I think this has been my favourite Lavecon, which is odd. I don't know why. I felt completely chilled and relaxed here, even though John and I were presenting the new game. But there were two things. First was we played Artemis Bridge Commander this morning, and I'm under the captaincy of the mighty Alex Brentnell, who is
a legend.
A legend. He is a genius, and I will follow that man to hell and back. Absolutely, I'm fairly sure we've won it. Not to ruin any suspense, but the second thing, on a purely selfish note, was we were in the games room, and I was sort of just at the doors and looking through, and there were 2 tables playing Space Commander. This game produced by who was it? Dave Pierce, was it him?
No, Seth has designed the board game. Yeah.
It is actually the reason why Chris Jarvis is not here right now. That's
'cause
the game he is out there playing.
Absolutely. So there were 2 tables there, absolutely, playing that game. There was Colin Ford's spaceship game. People gathered around, playing the Elite Fighters game. And there were 4 tables of Elite Dangerous Battle cards and the RPG being played all at the same time. The games room was just filled with people all playing games that have been made in the Elite Dangerous universe. And it was just wonderful because last year, there was maybe 1. The year before there were none. And now, people have made 4. And it was great to see it. And instead of we're going into a room where people were playing other board games, we were playing Elite. Just in a different way. And so that was splendid. It was really, really nice to see and kind of warmed the cockles of my heart, basically.
Yeah, there was a real buzz about it.
Yeah, and I do think the board games room this year, there's been a real buzz about the board games room, which is great. And, what I was saying about we do try to do lots of different things. Some things stick and some things don't, because you're a weird crowd, right? So what essentially we want the things to be there that you enjoy, and I think it's particularly useful that the board game stuff has really gone well.
Yeah, it's been really cool. So yes, that's my favourites.
Ashley,
just like Shan, this is the first year of Lavecon that I've come to being on this side of the table, and just seeing the amount of management that goes into it blows my mind. And to see everybody coming and appreciating it blows my mind even more. It's just
Humbling.
a whole bunch of weirdos. And don't take that the wrong way. You are a whole bunch of weirdos coming and enjoying.
you can tell what the episode title's going to be, can't you? You've got the zinger right there. Episode 200 to be a whole bunch of weirdos. That's basically it. Well done. Yeah, yeah. I can see Hutton quaking in their boots right there.
Might as well give them something to laugh about.
No, indeed, no. So yeah, no, it is a big deal. People on Friday may have seen me plod. That's what happens these days. I am at that age where stuff needs to get done, and I just keep going rather than going fast. I go very slow. You may have seen a very tired expression on my face. I had lots of people saying, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, no, I'm just plodding. I will get there. Everything gets done." And, to be fair, that isn't just about me. It's the amount of times that people pick up. They kind of take stuff. They kind of, when something needs to be done, they offer some hands. It is a very generous community, so thank you. And it's gone incredibly well. Certainly been the least stressful Lavecon for me for some time, which is great. So that's been really good.
And you even had Frontier turn up.
Yeah. Well, what's up with that? They don't do that, right? Okay.
Only
good
every
segue,
year.
though.
Yes,
Shall we move on to that? Okay. Thoughts about Frontier's presentation?
Spectacular for a convention.
Hey?
We're very lucky to have had a little look behind the curtain in a way that I don't think many other conventions do. They either get a full patch release, or they get, we can't talk about it, but come to the next big convention and we'll get it. Now, we got to see, right, where we're working on that, here's a little bit behind the scenes, and it's not finished, it's not polished, but this is what we're thinking, and then you kind of feel inclusive, because even though they've made up their mind and they're going in a direction, you kind of feel that you were, I don't know, brought along with them a bit.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah.
Now, don't boo me, because I actually went for a little nap in the hotel room during the Frontier thing, because it was the only time the game room was empty. So if you like, you can tell me.
Hang on. Just hold on, right?
Yeah.
So you went for a nap.
Yep.
Okay. Anyone here from 2013? Remember what happened? Right. Okay. What happens when you have a nap? Ian's going to tell us what happens when you have a nap.
Okay.
Yeah. Mike's there.
Nope. Okay.
Story time, version 2.
Click it. There you go.
I've actually had a nap at almost every.
Oh, you got away with it,
good.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm
But,
glad I'm
Go
fellow
sit
napper.
down.
It's good.
The first guy who took a nap woke up submerged in
Cushions?
cushions, pillows, every single portable soft thing we could find in the hotel was piled on top of him.
This was like about 2 a.m., wasn't it? We basically were in the bar in this hotel in Wiltshire, and this poor guy fell asleep while everyone was talking, and so it suddenly went very quiet. And so all these lovely chairs we had about. You might be able to find the picture
Grant
of the.
does have
you
that
have
photo.
the picture.
Yeah, Grant's
awesome.
got it as well.
So he basically he was in that bar and he fell asleep and we all went quiet and all these lovely chairs all had a cushion. So we gathered up every cushion. And I did just say at the time, I said, there is a tradition when I go to events that if someone falls asleep while you're having a laugh, then it's buckaroo time. So this poor guy got buried, literally got buried. And I think woke up from under there. But we were lovely, as in we were just using cushions. The guy behind the bar said, I've got some permanent marker. That's all right, dude.
That's why we're still at Sedgebrook Hall Hotel every year.
Well, to be fair, the Sedgebrook are nice, and I've never done anything like that. Although some of their other guests have laid on entertainment for us in the past in this hotel.
I've heard.
Yes, some of you know what I'm talking about. And early this morning, when I had to go back to bed about 2 o'clock in the morning, I went down to my room, knocked on the door, and said, "Karen, it's me. I'm not a naked bride." But
Anyway.
unfortunately.
Anyway, my point was that because I didn't hear it, maybe you could use that as a device whereby you could recount what happened at the event for the sake of the radio, rather than just humiliating me. Either's good. They're both good radio, but
Although I have to admit, not just Graham Reed who's got a tendency to. It was Graham, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Who's got
Graham
a
Reed.
tendency to fall asleep in public spaces. Is it Shan?
No.
No. Didn't
Well,
see
I'm
you.
allowed to.
Didn't see you having a wee snooze when
I'm
about
allowed
1
to-
o'clock.
I'm allowed to sleep. It's in my contract.
All right.
I am just going to say right now that we need to this is a tradition that has been lost. We need to recognise that this was a first Lavecon tradition. It must be resurrected. I expect to see sleeping people properly buried next time it happens. You are warned, Oliver. Okay.
okay.
Right. So to recap for you what went on in the presentation.
Yeah.
So we had quite a lot of really great stuff sort of shown through, and I think what John was saying in terms of the sort of behind the scenes of where they want to go was quite interesting in terms of what was there. For me, I was seeing a lot of graphic renders. That looked pretty. We were getting more of a pretty galaxy. And lovely chieftain skins, right?
Lovely mining stuff as well.
Lovely mining stuff. Okay, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, we were storms as well. So I did like the. I'm not a massive miner. That sounds wrong.
Yes, you are.
You're not into miners.
I'm not a fan of miners.
6 foot tall
Yes,
and 9
you
years
are.
old. Massive miner, yes?
But the improvements that Frontier are going to be giving to mining, it's got potential to be interesting. I like the fact that we're going to be able to scan the rings, get information where it's going to be good, get information about what rocks are going to be good, and then we've got different ways to actually get these resources from them. Oh, so far, yeah, that's better, isn't it? Get all these different resources from them, and we're going to have to see, obviously, what the gameplay itself is going to be like. I may still not be a fan of miners, but it does look more engaging than firing off a prospector limpet. No, that's crap. Another prospector limpet, still crap. Another prospector limpet, and eventually 20 limpets later, you go off and find your ice diamonds or whatever it is you're looking for. And then you go off and do your mining. A couple of minutes later, go and scoop it all up, rinse and repeat. I've always felt it's a bit like fishing, basically. And, it's something you can do if you're hungover on a Sunday or something like that.
I was called fishing spoil of a good read. Take a book.
Well,
this looks a lot more engaging, though, which is going to be a good thing, I think.
I did my usual quiz Sandro afterwards to get some detail around some of the proposals. And if we start with the exploration part, and they said that the surface scanner is going to be changed to fire limpets or probes. And so Sandro went into a little bit of detail about how that's going to work, because I asked him, I said, okay, so you've got people out there in the black who's been out there for 2 years, are suddenly going to find their discovery scanner doesn't work or doesn't work the way they want it to. How are you going to manage that? And he said, don't worry, no one is going to be forced to come back out of the black to fit a new scanner. They'll be able to carry on doing what they're doing. One thing he did say about the probes is they will not count as cargo. Now, being an explorer, that's pretty key, because if they count as cargo, it reduces your jump range. So they won't count as cargo, and you'll be able to synthesize them from materials that are out there. So they won't be like heat sinks or anything like that where you need to stock up before you go. You will be able to synthesize them. And I sort of jokingly says, oh, so you'll be asking for 3 polonium, 4 arsenic, and whatever. And he said, no, it won't be like that. So they're still looking at the mechanics of how you'll actually make them and what you need. And it was on the forum, I think, earlier, people were concerned that they would count as cargo, and they won't.
And they showed a wonderful picture of a ship flying towards a ring, and there were 4 or 5 different areas on that ring that had the little white corner borders on them. And they hinted that you would fire a probe at a ring system. It would then identify where the shiniest bits are to go and concentrate on. And then when you get there, you can then probe to find out which rocks hold which interesting bit. And then, so the whole thing is exploration and mining all tied together, which seems to me, as Ben says, it's a bit less rinse and repeat. It's more like target a system, find something really shiny, and then be able to go to the shiny bits of the shiny system. So it's quite nice.
I think the numbers relating to probe are something they're definitely looking at, because you can get some systems with 100 or so bodies in there, and if it's going to be difficult or tricky to reproduce the probes, it could take you an hour to find enough materials to go to another system just to scan it. So I think they need to look at how that mechanism actually works, or whether or not you can scan something and then decide you want to use one of your probes on it. That's all up in the air.
Yeah, variation of play would be important there. That's in terms of picking up on what John said. Ben,
just wondering, Shan, in your discussion with Sandy, was anything said what's going to happen with existing HAS-reses and things like that?
That wasn't part of the discussion. Right. I think that's part of a general kind of AI overhaul that Sarah Jane was cackling about earlier.
Just to pick up on something that John said, I don't know if anybody's been checking Twitter in relation to the event. One of the things that we've noticed is that, and this picks up on what you were saying about the release, John, and the fact that, it's pretty, this year was actually, because in the past, we've had releases here where Frontier have come as a panel and said, yeah, we're going to do all this, and then we can tell you more at such and such. And you're kind of like, oh, man, come on. This is not really a release. What's actually been happening on Twitter since yesterday and since that panel is that the panel itself, as in the whole live stream's been watched by a variety of YouTubers and streamers who are then running their own programs based on that information and then doing their own content on it. We are being retweeted from all across the world. We have retweets from Japan. We have retweets from, a variety of different places. Karen just said, this is just, because, of course, she's the Lavecon account. So, of course, she gets all the retweet information. So if you tweet out and you hashtag Lavecon in there, Karen gets gets a retweet and obviously gets to smile about it. And so please do that. But it was so interesting to see that this is probably for the first time that actually this event was the event where we are starting to see the content and information then being broadcast outwards, and that others were effectively, watching us to then go and say stuff about what was going on.
Yeah, well, one thing that came out in my conversations with people at the convention, these are programmers, people who know games and stuff like that, and the thing they stressed was don't underestimate the amount of work it took or it was taking to get the graphical improvements that we're seeing, particularly with no decrease in performance as it is. That took a huge amount of effort to do everything, and the mind-blowing scenes we saw, that took an awful lot of work.
And the fact that you don't then have to immediately go and upgrade your your PC
console,
just to be able to
and also
enjoy it.
You don't need to have a console. You don't go and buy a PS Pro or anything like that. It'll
normal.
work on the console. So the changes you've seen up there will also be on console as well, and I thought that was particularly impressive.
Any other thoughts about the presentation?
Well, yes, I've got one, and that is the storms. I mean, the question that was asked afterwards, is that in preparation for gas giants or atmospheric landings? And they, to a man, Jack, said, no. I mean, who didn't believe them? I mean, honestly, sorry, but I looked at those storms and I went, ooh. They're storms in atmospheres. I don't care if they're in the void of space, science, minds, whatever. They would look great on the outside of a gas giant that I can fly into. So, I know that they're not going to say, because planetary landings is next week and gas giants the week after or anything like that.
Yep.
But I looked at that stuff and I just thought, that's really nice.
On the mining thing as well, so I'm just sort of going through my list of stuff I talked to Sandra about. He mentioned about whether or not you had pirates would turn up in which goes to your Hazres thing, I think. And yes, that's their intention. One of the key things, though, he brought, and it was a question Obsidian Ant asked me to ask, and he asked, what about persistence of the asteroids? Will it be possible to mine out a ring? And Frontier said, yes, absolutely. That is something they want to bring in. Because what they don't want to do is have people cheesing it, finding the asteroid or diamond or whatever, and keep mode swapping until they've.
Well, that was a feature that No Man's Sky stated that they would have, in that when you dynamically affected the environment would stay dynamically affected because what was happening is essentially that the procedurally generated code was taking into account whatever the dynamic effect was when it regenerated the location. So you can see the process. It's whether, I'm not commenting on whether No Man's Sky implemented that or not, but what I am saying is that you can see how it would be constructed.
Well, one of the key developments of that technology would be to make USSs persistent, which I think would take a lot of the pain away from people looking for high-grade signal sources, for example.
Maybe?
There are some persistent USSs, though, like the Sidewinder.
This is true.
Only because it's a tourist attraction.
I suppose technically it's an SS rather than a USS.
It's a
but
visitor beacon.
No, I just think it's persistent because there's a damn good pilot flying it.
Yeah, right.
It's not me.
Have you seen how often he's been killed recently?
Oh, has he been killed a lot? Oh dear. Well, it's all right. I get killed all the time in game. Everybody sees me. Apparently, I fly all sorts of random ships, and I attack you, and I get killed a lot. That's fine.
Yeah.
The orange Sidewinder doesn't attack anyone, though.
True. This is true.
Onto the Challenger. It looks to fulfil a similar role to the Federal gunship, just the FAS. So we'll have to see what it's like. I actually like the look of it more than the Chieftain, to be honest. I thought it looked a lot more Aliens dropship-ish. So I thought it looked really nice, but I think it's going to be the Federal gunship to the Chieftain's FAS.
And were those shadows over the outpost, were they just a normal Thargoid, or were they something else? Because I know they're releasing the little diddy ones, but that big one, that was a shadow with multiple bits all over it. So that
Medusas have the angry-looking spines on them.
Okay. I haven't seen a single in-game Thargoid yet. Sorry. I did what you did.
Don't
I went
feel-
flying and looking for one, and no, did I ever get interdicted?
Don't feel like don't feel like you're a novice in that regard. Okay, it's okay. Still flying my Cobra.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Alan. That
Anything
means a
else
lot.
that anybody saw from the panel? Ice.
The ice world.
Very clear ice.
Very, very pretty ice.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right, that's good then. Okay, so the detail of this, I think, has gone incredibly well. So what we want to do now is open it out to you guys and give you an opportunity to comment on the things that you felt from the panel were particularly insightful. If we've missed anything, try and keep it as something that we can discuss, if possible, please, and we'll hopefully be able to sort of give a bit of a comment on it. Anybody got something they want to mention? Ian has got something he'd like to mention.
Yeah, I had a long talk with Chris about the connection between the storytelling aspect of the game and the art from his perspective. And so what was interesting in the conversation was there is a play back and forwards between the two departments. And he said, they're on the opposite sides of the corridor, so they're running between each other's offices with ideas, and so they're feeding the story. The art feeds the story, and the story feeds the art, and then they make the models. And so that was an interesting sort of view into how actually things get worked up. It wasn't actually in the panel; it was afterwards. So, but you can see from what they presented how they're actually the different departments and the different aspects of the game are actually working together and feeding off each other to get the best result that they can. So that's really what came out of.
It is a really interesting organic process. I mean, I can't claim that I can comment on how Frontier are working now, but certainly with a snapshot, I write stuff. The art designers then come back and they draw stuff, and I go, "That's cool. Where'd you get that from?" "Well, you wrote this description, and so I drew this." "Oh, that's amazing. That really inspires me. I'll write some more stuff." And we've drawn some more stuff. And then a render team comes in and goes, "Yeah, and we've made this level." "Wow, where did you get that from?" "From your description." It is incredible, and that isn't a big up. That's humbling, because you sit there and go, "I wrote some words and you made an amazing thing." That's just, so actually once you get the synergy, and Slavy and I work quite well over there, but once you get that synergy, and Chris is a great guy, so once you get the synergy with a story team, it starts to show in terms of building something that's greater than the sum of its parts.
Yeah, he was talking about how the Scout was introduced,
Yep.
the Thargoid Scout, and basically Chris wanted to make an old style Thargoid that everybody recognizes, not the new ones with the wings, but actually an old style one. And then he was like, "Well, this is what we're thinking of. How do we get that into the game?" And then that whole little narrative and leading up to Jameson's Cobra, that all came about because Chris wanted to put in an old style Thargoid that everybody could recognize. And so hearing that story of how that actually came in the game and what the process that went into that from, we want to do this, and then there's a whole story arc that's gone in, and how do you introduce the scouts when they come later in, they're active in the USSs, and they say they attack you like they used to. That was a...
It kind of warms the old cynical bones of us that have, sit there since the 80s and gone, but this. Oh wow, someone's actually paying attention, and they're bringing the old stuff and they're making it new, and they're kind of connecting it, and it's fantastic. I think it was a really good job that he did that.
Yeah, that was hearing the stories of how those things are actually brought together, worked on, not just one person, but one person getting an idea, and then teams of people work to put something into the game.
Yep.
And is as cool as they can possibly make it.
No, it's awesome. Can I ask, Ian, can you just pass the mic to Stephen?
Anyone got any cushions?
Hey, don't be nasty. I was intentionally trying to
Flossie.
make sure that we didn't draw any attention to Flossie in the front row. That's awful of you, right? I'm going to blame. They've been nudging me, okay, for the last 2 minutes while Ian was talking about Flossie's asleep. Flossie's gone to sleep, and I was intentionally not drawing attention. Stephen, your question.
Well, going back to what he's just said, basically the feedback. I'm wondering if the Lave Radio going and discovering that putting Guardian Tech into the Thargoid's mansion actually caused the game to move so that you had Guardian Tech in the weapons as well, maybe.
Yeah, but an awful lot of NPCs have died because of you. In which I applaud you for.
And you care about this, Shan?
We can certainly say you've ushered in a new era.
Oh.
So I'll get my coat now.
But going back to the panel yesterday, at the exploration, the probes, did anyone else notice that they were saying that if you fire the probes, you need skill to get them to go around the planets and find the points of interest, but also it's finding all the points of interest, and that means that they're no longer just automatically generated. They must be there as a persistent designed, or at least something that is automatically set up but always there. They can't. They've got a persistence from the simulation. So also remember this. This is Sandy was saying that this is to help people not have to go flying for hours at, say, 2 kilometers upside down around the whole planet just to find some brain trees.
I'd really like that. It would make the universe much more consistent if every time you found a mining rig, it was in the same place, and it's entirely within the capabilities of the engine. I was kind of surprised. I'm sure there's a good reason why they didn't do it, but I was kind of surprised they didn't do it from the start, since I think the smallest thing that they procedurally generate in Elite Dangerous is dust, and so for that a mining rig doesn't seem like it's going to be too hard to sort of put in the right place. So if they do that, I'll be very pleased. That'd be cool.
And that's why I went off and asked Sandy yesterday if things like the Crash Cobra were still going to be around, and if that was something we'd be able to discover. And thankfully, he said yes, you can discover that as well. So
excellent.
It'd also be lovely if you could buy the data afterwards. So once someone's done that and found the
I could sell that to you, or I could sell it to the station, and then it would just be when you go to the nav beacon, you'd see it.
Yes.
Well, something that I've felt a long time was if you're all exploring or prospecting, being able to sell data that's, let's say, commercially sensitive for more credits would probably be a good incentive to go out and explore. But obviously that's a lot more coding.
Yeah, but the mechanics are there already, because when you discover an Earth-like, it's more valuable than a water world, which itself is more valuable than a metal content, so on and so forth. So why not?
You've also, there's the potential there for a bidding war, if you ended up with different factions.
Yeah.
If a certain faction felt it was more sensitive, you could be quoted a price.
Or
if you quoted 3 prices.
Or if you go to a mining settlement, it garners a better price than if you go to a high-tech.
Yep. Interesting point.
Why do we need minerals? We just buy it from over there.
Personally, I thought the idea of a giant basketball hoop you could try and get this probe through was the best idea of the day.
Well, I was wondering about could you do this as kind of a one of those kind of window washer things? You know that thing where if you drive a car, you can change your kind of squirter so that it moves to the person on the pavement, and you can kind of sit there and you can, and the person on the pavement gets soaked. I was thinking about the probes, and maybe what you do is you kind of fly in front of somebody, right, just nice and close, and then probe release, and they get like a swarm of flies literally right on their windshield, and so how do we get rid of this?
Give certain player groups ideas.
I just
of course,
and just run off.
In the new mining, where you're setting the charges around the asteroid, preset the charges, wait for an NPC or someone else to come by and detonate.
Can we put them on someone else's ship? Like a sticky
Oh,
bomb?
well,
and, you know.
Yeah, all sticky bomb, love it. Yeah.
Anyway, we'll
Don't
Right, well,
tell
let-
Ben about the sticky bombs.
Yeah.
You're the one with the reputation of sticky bombs and Grand Theft Autos.
Make it go boom.
Okay.
I think we had some other people as well.
Another question? I think it was one at the back. Yeah, there
Tom
was.
had one.
So just
Yep.
it was the winging up and multi-crew. It was whether or not Psycho Cow, who's also gone to sleep in the room, wanted to wing up and do some mining with me because I know he loves mining.
That's it. Much better. Thank you. Microphone nice and close. Thank you.
Yeah, did you get that?
Yeah, go on. Say it again. Last
sorry.
bit.
It was whether or not Psycho Cow wanted to come mining in multi-crew with me. That was it.
Ah, okay. Well, Grant.
He doesn't
What's
even
your
want to
thoughts?
show his face at the minute. Oh, there he is.
Hooray!
It's just a double bed we've got back there. It's lovely. Mining, I tried it to get to materials once. Yeah. You can wing up to do that. Why?
Because you can. Because
Why
you
would
can,
you want to share that misery with somebody else? Oh, well, let's divide the task up. I'll shoot the rock and then you scoop the bits. Is that what you do? Is that what you do? You split it into tasks. You have one person or numbers of PIs in your wings shooting the rocks.
The
I
concept
don't know.
is the
Kat,
same.
how
with-
do you go mining with other people?
I don't. I don't like going mining with myself. It's the worst company I've had.
Do you need gloves to go
Oh.
mining with yourself? It's kind of
Different kind of mining.
Just don't cut your fingernails.
right.
Just quickly on mining, I actually
Yep.
love mining. I think
Oh.
I think it's really kind of a zen of elite for me, especially at late night. You just go to a ring, put some nice relaxing music on, and just kind of mine away, mine away your mind.
So does
but-
the changes actually make that worse for you because you actually have to do something rather than?
Say again?
Does the changes possibly make it worse for you then because you actually have to do something?
No, it's
rather
kind of
than
very you just kind of get into the zone and just chill out. But anyway, what I wanted to talk about is they share all these details about the big features with us, but what I'm always waiting for with those releases and patches are the detailed patch notes, and I just love to go to the forums and look for the little things that are hidden in the patch notes, because there's loads of little things that they fix or patch or add, and they don't talk about them, but you can find them in the patch notes, and there's so many of them sometimes. So especially with this new update with Q4, they've said it's going to be the biggest one of this year. So I'm really interested, and I'm really waiting for the patch notes just to go and dig through them to see what else is kind of buried within them.
Yeah.
Mysterious rocks added.
Well, it was things like when the Voyager probes were added. Essentially they were buried in the patch notes, but they weren't named. If I remember rightly, somebody may be able to prove me wrong because my brain is deficient. Yeah, I think it was just
Mysterious
anomalies added or
objects added.
something, and then of course somebody went, oh yeah, I found Voyager 1, and look, I found Voyager 2. Those kind of things are fantastic in that regard.
Just thinking about the mining, and I'd love when we go off and maybe blow up some of these rocks, that rock hermits and things like that come out and get us again.
Okay, well, the crate, it's
Well,
the favoured ship of the Rock Hermit, I believe.
Was, yeah,
I
yeah.
have a hope for the crate.
We have
actually,
yet to
so-
see the crate, and they promised it how long ago now?
Hey, man, Panther Clipper, man, doesn't,
October, wasn't it?
My,
We got a
uh,
Panther Clipper. We've been waiting for the crate.
I'll
for
channel
months.
Jarvis. We want the Merlin.
My question is actually about the crate. I was going to
Okay.
mention the crate. So we heard about the Challenger. They did actually say 2 ships coming in this release, so I think there's another hint. We've already seen the engines from the crate. I did hear it on fairly good authority that the weapons that we saw in the sneak peeks, that was the crate as well. So it looks pretty likely that the crate is coming.
Right.
Personally, I'm really grateful about that because I have a bet with somebody that I can't post on the forum for an entire month if it's not coming. So
I've actually
Sigh
got a
of
wish.
So
relief
who's going
for
to be
me.
nice and quiet then?
I've got a wish for the crate because at the moment there are several ship archetypes. You've got the combat ship, you've got the exploration ship, you've got a trader, and then you've got multi-purpose. What I'm hoping is the crate is the first of a new archetype, of the piracy archetype,
Okay,
where
interesting.
you specialise the ship to be a pirate ship. and it can then spawn other pirate-style ships.
Well, it's interesting because in the official fiction, I think I'm correct in saying that the only description of the crate in the official fiction, because we didn't have when Frontier gave us a ships pack, they basically told us ahead of time what about 30 of the ships would be. So we had a list of illustrations of ships that we could use, and the crate wasn't on that list. So being stupid, I decided to put the crate in my book. So
did we.
Right, yeah. Well, stupid is as stupid does, right?
Yep.
So
hang on.
There's a scene in Lave Revolution where the revolutionaries ambush this asp that's been chasing the Cobra, the Gallant, and I think it's a Sidewinder and 2 crates, and they just get blown apart. They just get completely blown apart. And the crates are old-style crates, because I always caveated what I was doing. Similar with the Viper, I always caveated what I was doing by saying my ships were the old-style versions, they were the previous versions, blah, blah, blah. The interesting thing with the crate was that I had to think about what the pylons were. The 2 the 2 sticks on the side. And it was like, they're not guns, right? If you're 9 years old, they're guns. Or 6 years old, they're guns. They're not guns, so what could they be? So I was thinking about it and thinking, well, actually they should be communications pylons. They're long-distance communications pylons.
We made them guns.
Okay, well, you're dumb.
Because it's cool,
9.
isn't it?
No,
it's not just me.
It's the future. It's lasers, clearly.
They were just sticks. So it's like they're aerial pylons.
Make them artfully smaller. Just give the. They could have been guns.
No,
Okay, they're not beam
laser
laser pointers.
Actually came out of the pylons.
They weren't guns. They were just sticks. They were 1 pixel. Anyway, but so it'd be interesting to see how they interpret it. I'm not bitter. They're not guns. But it'd be interesting to see what they choose to do and how they choose to put that in. That was actually, and that very short anecdote promise. Okay, that was actually, I don't know if people remember, the reason why the Viper is the mark that it is, because originally they were billing it as the Mark II, and I had to call them out and say, I think it was at Lavecon 2014. I called out Michael Brooks and said, that there were already 2, so why is the Viper still called Mark II in all the promotional material? Then it changed. So which was fine. It's not not something that was precious to me at all.
So you think crate is the surprise? Because if you read the announcement in the forum, there was like and ? You think crate is the and one more thing moment?
Yeah. Hope so. Maybe it's the Moray Starboat and we didn't know. Yeah. Right. Okay. Any other comments? Yep.
So again, I think what really struck me this year was the past few years we've really had a lot of things that, like, for multi-crew, wings, and even the Thargoids really focus on the multiplayer aspect. And I've not got many friends, so it's kind of nice this year to see, I think, mining and exploration is really giving love back to solo play again.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. The more on exploration. I mean, we know that from the first Lavecon when Michael Brooks turned up, what Michael Brooks did is he sat down and, having distributed pieces of concept art to everyone that was there, so you got your, this is a lovely printed copy of this. He then sat down and explained some of the design strategies. And exploring was the main thing they talked about. Was, we want to encourage everybody to get out there and find stuff and just go out into lonely space, which was, was quite romantic, in terms of how it was described. Leaving aside the pleasure or not pleasure of mining, whether people enjoy it or don't enjoy it, this idea of thinking through the solo play, I think is.
They did actually add multi-crew functionality to exploration and mining. I'm not sure if you picked up on it, but they said that if you were in a multi-crew, then the crew could aim different probes in different directions, so you could cover more distance quicker if you're in multi-crew. So it's not you have to have multi-crew for the exploration or mining. It's just it gives you more options.
You also need multi-crew to be able to use the SRVs. So what Toxic asked the question, can we have multiple SRVs? I thought that was genius, and you got my vote, because to have exploration and then to be able to find your shiny thing on the planet's surface, and all of you get out and hoof about and go and have a look at it, is much better than everyone staying in the cockpit whilst you do.
Yeah, that would be
That would be
multiple
awesome.
SRVs, please.
Yep.
Yes.
Bring that on.
Cool. Okay. Anything further, Ian? Click it. That's it. Okay. Yeah.
On the crate again, I was talking to Chris yesterday, and he was saying, well, they make the art department makes a view of the front and the back, and then they take it over to the model. I said, oh, really? That's really interesting. How does that work, for example, on the crate? And he was like, clouds are very interesting, aren't they? No, Chris, it's a blue sky. All right. About the Challenger.
Well, fair enough. I mean, we'll kind of see when hopefully that comes out, and we'll see what they've interpreted with it. Okay, so shall we move on?
Yeah, if no one else has got anything to add.
Anything else to add? Nothing else to add? No? Okay, good. Okay. So other things that we might want to sort of think about, discuss in relation to things that have happened yesterday. Were there any other reflections that people wanted to mention? Other than Frontier?
Other than Frontier?
Yeah, come on. There was a whole convention. Come on. Anything particular that that was interesting that you enjoyed? I know we've talked about your highlights, but was there anything you wanted to plug, or anything you wanted to talk about that was great?
Does anyone want to talk about Lave Revolution Audio?
Yeah. Oh, look. Oh, there's a surprise. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, shock. Did you want to talk about that?
I wasn't able to listen to it because I was working in my room explaining ED battle cards, but I walked past the TV screen to get myself a beer, and it sounded very, very good.
I did see Alan. I was sitting off the back, or middle actually, and Alan was sitting there with a wee tear in his eye and a great big cheesy grin on his face.
Pretty much. It's been a long time, right? It's been very painful to try and get this done. There's a long and tortured history for those of you that don't know, and I'm not going to go into all the ins and outs of the details, but it has been a very difficult, sort of time to get this sorted. The one thing that's kept me constant, and we sort of advertised we were going to have this thing originally in 2013. It's taken us 5 years to get it done. The one thing that has been an absolute constant and has kept me kind of sane is Chris is awesome, and he's really good at what he does. And just to hear him play around with the dialogue, the lines, the stuff that I'd written, it was like sort of meeting an old friend again for a long period of time. Having not seen it for a long period of time. And I freely admit when we had the classic theme tune of Frontier played here, I was in bits when that was. Played as a classical music rendition with Dave's work a couple of years ago. Having the audio example here, I kind of sat there and went, I'm not going to cry, man. I'm not going to cry. But it was great. It was really, really great to listen to, and hopefully you can finish off fairly soon. I think that will be fantastic. So, more power to Chris in terms of what he's doing.
And I have to say that last year, when we were lucky enough to do the RPG with you guys just prior to last year's Lavecon, and so we did this all-nighter thing that went on for a very long time, so thank you again for that. Gave it to Chris, and he worked his magic, turned it into 3 episodes that led up to Lavecon, and we did the 4th one live on stage. And just listening to that back, where he's able to incorporate game sounds and the AI voice, it was just stunning. I mean, yeah, he's extremely gifted man, and it turns something that you create into real magic, and I get the emotional thing.
No, totally. He's a total genius in those terms.
Was that the first time you'd actually heard it?
Yeah, totally. No, I'd not heard it at all.
I wasn't sure if you'd heard
I'd not heard it at all.
I'd
heard maybe, I think there was about 90 seconds, a minute, up to the...
you heard the same preview?
Yeah, up to, basically I'd heard up to where the guy gets shot in the first chapter. That's all I'd heard.
So when can we get this? When is it available? Where is it available?
He's going on
my
holiday as
money.
soon as he finishes this convention, so it's not going to get out till after that. But it's over at the Radio Theatre Workshop website, and we'll put a URL up for the store so that people can go and have a look at. But yeah, no, he's done a stunning job. What we're also going to do, and we did mention this yesterday, is we're going to put the music up there as well, so that the two things can sort of be side by side if people want to pick the music up from that. And that's also the music that features in the other audiobooks.
And at the moment, there is a 10% discount, I believe, as well, on radiotheatreworkshop.com. You enter the code, I believe it's Lavecon 2018.
Yeah, I believe so. And I think that's on the desk. So, if anybody wants to do that from here, they can. And on Twitch, hi, if you enjoyed that last night, then hopefully you'll enjoy it again. What are you saying to me, Shan?
So I was saying we have a special Galnet news read to us, so we don't have to.
Oh, I see. So you're talking about you think that now it's time for Peter to come and do his
It's
news.
time for us to go to the bar, yes.
I think so, yes. I think it's time for
I think you're
some
probably
Galnet
right.
news.
I think you're probably right. So, okay, that will probably do it from us then, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you very much for attending. And our panel will now close. And if you can't, you know where to find us. Everyone in this room knows that we're over at laveradio.com. Thank you for joining us on Twitch. And if you're listening in the recording, then 88 miles per hour and all the rest of that. So if you can't fly safe, people, then please do fly dangerous. And we have been Lave Radio. Here is Galnet News.
Plug myself in first. Galnet News Digest, live from Lavecon, 10th of June, 3304. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news, the end is nigh. The mystery of the awesome stuff. Crate expectations. The end is nigh. With all the administrative staff of the Pilots Federation reportedly away big game hunting on the prehistoric Earth-like, we've been forced to scrabble around totally unofficial sources to find out what's happening to the galaxy. We've pieced together these unofficial sources from the so-called dinosaurs of the forum, and this is the terrible truth we found. The Milky Way is in maintenance mode. The Pilots Federation has moved on to other more profitable galaxies, leaving only a skeleton staff manning the supercomputers on Founder's World. The Mistress of Minions has been allocated to developing a Commodore 64 adventure game. The entire second floor of Frontier Towers is a figment of the collective imagination. So distraught is the development team that one of their number, known only by the name Wendy, has allegedly taken his fully engineered chieftain out into space without enough money for a rebuy. And he's been destroyed. The mystery of the awesome stuff. Meanwhile, there's confusion surrounding events on DISO, where, despite the lack of ongoing support for the Milky Way galaxy, there have been rumours of some pretty amazing developments just around the corner. The tools may soon become available to extract mineral resources far more efficiently from ore-laden asteroids. Current mining laser technology allows minerals to be blasted off the surface of asteroids, but the true riches of many asteroids lie deep inside. With a combination of enhanced scanning techniques to identify the best candidates for mining, and a new system of explosive charges, there are hopes that a career as a miner may soon become far more profitable and rewarding. It won't be without risk, though. Placing charges correctly will be vital, and the risk of ship damage from dust clouds, corrosive emissions, or just by being hit by a huge chunk of asteroid hurtling towards you means that miners will truly be earning their riches. Explorers may soon be able to benefit from a new class of surface scanner limpets. These supercruise devices will use the gravity of the celestial body to slingshot around to allow a far more detailed surface analysis than has been possible using the basic surface scanner of today. Requiring some skill to operate, the drones may optionally be launched by specialist crew members, while the pilots execute a flyby. Hints have also been received that there may be other allegedly pretty amazing new things to discover, possibly geological, perhaps biological, certainly meteorological. And for the first time, we've been given a glimpse of new vision enhancement goggles that allow the galaxy to be viewed with a clarity never seen before. Crate expectations. With confirmation that the release of 2 new ships is imminent, and with the Lavecon Challenger an open secret, speculation is rising about what the second one could be. Falcon de Lacy is thinking of releasing a new edition of its classic crate. Could this be it? Sources describe the crate as largely obsolete, with a sluggish speed and substandard maneuverability, consisting of a hodgepodge of old and new technology. And that's just the manufacturer's brochure. Speaking off the record, when asked who would fly such a lemon of a spacecraft, a Falcon de Lacy employee admitted that the production run would probably be relatively small, but not as small as the production run would be if the Perez Corporation should ever choose to re-release its own classic, the Merlin. According to research carried out by Spidermind Corporation, that would have a production run of just 1. And that's this week's Galnet News live from Lavecon. We read the news so you don't have to. Don't forget to come back for the raffle.